போயிட்டுக்கலாமா அங்கே போயிட்டுக்கலாமா
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the blooming of the giant corpse flower. My name is Helena Hildur, and I will guide you through this extraordinary event. My colleagues and I at Art Lab Gnesta are very proud to present this extraordinary flower here in Venice. The giant corpse flower is also known as the Carrion Flower or the Titan Arum. Its Latin name is Amorphophallus titanum, which means literally giant misshapen phallus or penis. All these names refer to the flower, but in fact, the flower very rarely blooms. Instead, its main parts remain hidden underground. They are called the tubers. Now, the tuber will stay in dormancy for 3 to 6 months before setting forth one single multi-pinnate leaf, which grows up to 6 meters high and nearly as wide. The leaf will then synthesize energy enough to produce a new and even larger tuber. At irregular intervals of up to several years, not a leaf, but a colossal inflorescence will rise from the tuber. And this is what we have here. In nature, this plant is endemic to the rainforest of Sumatra, Indonesia. And this is where it was discovered by the Florentine botanist Odoardo Beccari. And this may have been the peak of his career. Beccari managed to send some tubers and some seeds as well back to Florence. Unfortunately, the tubers all perished, but the seeds, some of the seeds germinated. Well, since 1889, more than 150 flowers have been blooming in gardens worldwide. But still, it is a rare moment and bound to attract a large audience. The size of this flower, it can grow up to 3 meters high and 1.5 meters across. So the size would make it the biggest flower in the world. But, in fact, what we see here is not really the flower. This is what we botanically call a spathe. And the actual flowers are hidden deep inside it. A large number of tiny flowers displaying the female sexual parts called stigma sit on the very bottom of the spathe. The stigmas are slender, dark, and yellow-tipped. And above them, the male counterparts form a white band. Now, how does pollination happen between the male and the female parts of the flower? Folklore says that the Titan Arum is pollinated by elephants of the rainforest. Well, this is a compelling image indeed, but it is not correct. Instead, the plant depends on little insects for its pollination, like sweat bees and flies of the rainforest. Now, there's a question. How does these tiny flowers, hidden deep inside this huge funnel, how can they attract their pollinators? And how do the insects, in turn, find their way to the next flower? Because the flower will need to benefit from the genetic advantages of cross-pollination for its reproduction. So, the Titan Arum comes with an unmistakable odor resembling the smell of rotting flesh, highly enticing for insects. And inside the spade, in the middle of the flower, this huge towering spire known as the spadix rises. The size alone of the spadix would make sure that the odor is dispersed over a large area. The flower will also use the remaining resources of energy to actually heat up the spadix to a temperature comparable to that of the human body. And the warmth will allow the chemical compounds that constitute the odor to volatilize more easily over large distances. Of course, this process requires huge amount of energy. So the inflorescence will last only for 48 hours. And then the plant will not bloom again until its resources are replenished. So you understand that this is really a brief and memorable moment that we have been sharing. And now, if you're interested, you may step a bit closer and have a look at the flowers inside the spade. And if there are any questions, I will answer at my best. So, please.
We want to smell it. Ah! Can I see?
Yes, please. Have a look. Yeah. Can you see the stigmas and stigmas down?